What is up, everybody? It's JG603, owner and operator of TSW2 Sweet Effin' Wrestling, baby. It is Sunday morning, which can only mean one thing. The 2 Sweet 25 Power Rankings. We'll talk a little bit about it, but let's get right into it and show you the outskirts of the top 25. Of course, if you guys haven't checked out last week's Power Rankings, a little bit important to do so. And of course, if you're new here, like, comment, and of course, subscribe. Make sure you get that noti bell ding activated, get all the notifications. But yes, indeed, every Sunday you get these Power Rankings. Of course, every Friday morning is when you're going to get the typical TSW show. So real quick, going to break down how we're going to do the second week of rankings here. So the game shuffles all the rankings each week. I don't like that. It doesn't make sense. People who lose end up high. Anyway. So we've kept track of who was listed in last week's video, which went up to 34. But this week we're gonna go the outside, the outskirts of that. So we're keeping track of a lot of where these rankings were last week and where they're falling this week. But going forward, pretty much the top 40 is going to be kept an eye on. The 25, though, is going to be the key to these videos. So real quick, we're going to go through these. Last week, a couple of these guys were ranked higher or lower. We'll go through that real quick. Brandon 2K was 34th, dropped down to 41. Did lose that King of the Ring qualifier. Tough streak as of late. But moving on, we got Bama, previously unranked, of course. You know, mind you, tough showings late, but of course, showing up to 40 now gives us a couple extra spots to show you guys where people are ranked. Next up, you can see right there, we've got DJ Scorpio, the Peacock. Gotta let him fly. Been out a couple weeks, injured. Of course, former tag champ, doing a lot of great things, but hasn't been wrestling. Gonna be dropping down, of course, previously ranked up in the top 25 of 23. So this is the first guy we see who dropped from the 25 and out. And by the way, there are gonna be some guys who were in last week's video and are now completely unranked, and vice versa. So it's gonna be interesting to see how that falls into place. Coming up next at 38 is gonna be Kroggy. Does have a King of the Ring qualifier, I believe, this Thursday. So could easily jump in the rankings, but right now I'm gonna put him back at 38. Was previously at 30th, but of course, inactivity gonna have to bump you a little bit when a lot of people were getting action last week. Speaking of people who got an action last week, coming off a loss is our sweet Dargon, going from 31st to 37th here. Again, touch on it real quick. Most of these guys are not going to go too in depth on, but tough showing as of late. Former Universal Champion, but that feels like an absolute lifetime ago. Next, previously unranked Toxic Tina, of course, big win over Mrs. Hudat this past week, and an alliance with Miss JG, expected to get a tag team title shot this Thursday on Throwdown. You heard it here first, folks. Officially confirmed for this week's show. Next up, we got Prodigy, ranked 35 here, 34th last week. Hasn't been in action, but did get a little sneak attack on Joker. He is in action this week in a King of the Ring qualifier, I believe, against the aforementioned Kroggy. So one of those two going to be jumping up the rankings in just a few days, likely. Now, previously unranked, we've got DT Wings, of course, one half of the Burdens of Destruction, the better or worse half, depending on how you look at it, of one Kapnerk. DT Wings, big win this week. Whoa. Little controversy, but a win nonetheless over one Rowdy Time. So DT Wings, nice win there. Got in the record book, in the win column. So we're gonna move you up the rankings a little bit. Talk about another guy coming from unranked to into the win column. Was 1-0 previously in singles competition. Now 2-0. We're talking Z-Rocker. Of course, Grado. Oh, my sweet, sweet Grado looking to make a name for himself. And Z-Rocker was the name, made a name instead. But Z-Rocker moving up the ranks a little bit. A little debut on this special as well. Someone who was ranked last week. I'm going to move a little bit in the rankings. We got Chef J. Ruiz in the goddamn house. We moved him actually from 33 just up to 32. Didn't really do much. Did get a tag win this week. Wasn't really a big win per se. Did pin clap. Or the team did pin clap and Fend in matchup, but same thing here. Fend moving up one spot from 32 to 31, kind of similar spot here. Fend will be ranked a little bit higher because he's kind of the leader of the congregation, but neither of these guys really done much recently, so that is where they lie. Talk about a guy who hadn't been doing anything recently, but a big win, a huge win this week. Talk about controversy. We've got Chico making his debut here at 30. Again, we're not in the top 25, but these guys are certainly got eyes on being in that top 25 the next couple weeks, so we want to make sure we're letting you guys know who's on the outside looking in. By the way, there's every chance that someone ranked 42 or lower could jump into these power rankings the next week or two easily, but unranked Chico, of course, beating LBJ. Controversy from the Deekster there. By the way, love to see this side of Deekster. We'll certainly be touching on that in a little bit, but Chico, of course, former two-time tag champ, breaking up with Chris Swain. The bad guys are no more, but the bad guy is still here, looking to make a name in that cruiserweight division. Talk about making a name for themselves. Love this one. debuting as well, unranked previously. Mrs. JG, big win over Mrs. Houdat last week. Helped out Tina this week, going for those tag titles. So you gotta think, again, one of these people, one win from jumping up these power rankings greatly. So next up, number 28, we have got Joker. Previously at 26, gonna fall back a couple spots, but not too far. Did lose King of the Ring qualifier, but there was certainly some controversy as Prodigy attacked him before and afterwards. Certainly we're gonna be seeing Joker in the near future towards the top of this card, and we'll see plenty more of him in the near future. Talk about someone we'll see plenty more of. Dropping a bit on the rankings, it's been sliding lately. We've got the former hardcore champion, the Goliath General, Phineas and Herb, dropping from 19 out of the top 25 down to 27, of course, losing at the elimination chamber at Backlash, losing the fatal four-way, losing the tag team match. Just losses starting to stack a little bit here for Finn, but as a former champion, you got to respect what he can do inside that ring. I think it's only a matter of time before he gets back in the big picture here in TSW. And same situation, someone moving a little bit in the rankings ever so slightly, just outside the top 25 again 2 weeks in a row, is going to be Steph. Blue Eyes, not in action this week officially, but certainly doing a little bit here. So jumping from 27 up to 26, following the attack on Awesome Kong. We can confirm that this Thursday, Steph versus Kong again for that Knockouts title. We'll see how that plays into King of the Ring title match as well. Of course, Miss Houdat already scheduled to defend the title there. But let's get going officially on the 25 power rankings. And we have a shocker out the gate. From top 10 to barely in, we've got Sap Daddy. You know, was right there with Animal, but unfortunately unable to get the job done. Is now at the back of the pack here in TSW. Almost even bumped him out to 25 altogether, but one loss to the champ with a decent streak heading up to that. Not enough to bump you out completely, but Sap's in a tricky spot here. They got to figure out what they're doing over there. The congregation, they've been struggling lately. They have been struggling, so they gotta set up and talk about struggles. Another guy who fell in the rankings. Another guy who lost a title match this week. We're talking Mr. Benjamin. Hate to see him back here, dropping from 14 to 24. Of course, former multiple-time champion, does it all here in TSW. Some of my favorite matchups Mr. Benjamin has been at the center of, but a couple tough losses stacking up here, nearly out the top 25. Got to find something else to do. Lost the hardcore title, lost the rematch, and that's it. That's it for me in the hardcore division, as long as, of course, the reigning champion, who we'll certainly be touching on in the top 5 here today. We'll see if the top 5's interesting. It's going to be a controversial top 25, by the way. Controversial, especially in that top 5 to top 10 rankings. But anyways, what's next? We're going to find out. You know who he knows what's next? Fresh off posting bail, jumping from 28 to 23, officially ranked Rowdow is back here in TSW. Absolutely demolishing Kuki Kukabara. I think sending him back to BK Wrestling, because that was an ugly showing. Puts him through the table after the match. Raw Dog, we don't know what's next for him right now, but we know one thing. My prediction: pain. And talk about pain. Left shoulder a little banged up here. We're talking about JG603. Now, of course, in hindsight, we shouldn't have called out the supernatural force that's been attacking me. Broke into my house, kidnapped me for a week plus, and I'm like, yeah, let's just call him back. And not the right call. But I'm a little annoyed. They didn't send the big bad, send some kind of henchman to me. All right, that's fine. That's fine. We'll figure out what's next in that storyline this Thursday. But right now, of course, JG, former TSW heavyweight champion, the inaugural champ, I believe 40-ish days with the title, longest reigning champion certainly we've seen here in TSW. Although Animal so far quickly looking to combat that. But going from 15 back to 22, not officially in action, beat up. You can't stay at your ranking. Got to drop him back. depending on what happens in the next couple weeks, JG has every opportunity to be out of the 2 Sweet 25 power rankings in my own organization. Ridiculous. Anyway, back to things here. Coming in at 21, previously 24, moving up a little bit up these rankings. Looking dominant right now. We're talking the Knockouts champion, Awesome Kong. You got to think Awesome Kong could easily be ranked higher, but we have some real stalwarts at the top of this ranking once we get to the top 20 here, guys. But of course, Awesome Kong, reigning Knockouts champion, will face Steph this week for the title. If Kong loses, could be it for Kong here in TSW. If Kong wins, though, of course, we'll be facing Miss Huda and some others at King of the Ring to unify the Knockouts and the women title. Talk about unifying titles. Lost the unification match, but made a name, a distraction, if you will, this week, moving from 22 to 20 despite not officially being in a match. We're talking the Deekster. Loved what Deke did. Not sure what he's got going on there, but kind of playing some mind games with LB. Not something you typically expect out of the Boomer. The Iceman, typically cool as a cucumber, but get a little spicy, a little pickling action, if you will, turn a little sour. So we're excited to see how that plays out. Of course, King of the Ring happening in London. So Deke versus LB in London. LB, of course, from London. It is going to be a fantastic matchup and dynamic. Really excited to see what Deke does the next couple weeks, and if it is just a 1 week thing, or if maybe a little bit more with our Dekester here. Moving on, though. Talk about an interesting couple weeks and a really tough Thursday. We're talking the former Universal Champion in AJ, coming in at 19, previously at 21. Well, how does he move up in the rankings? Well, first of all, we like the initiative. Looking for a call-out promo. Had a match with Wisebone set up, ready to go. Of course, then CJ shows up. The dastardly Hollywood CJ shows up. Takes out Wisebone, of course, again, former fellow Lions fan, I should say, with AJ. Despicable act by CJ, but I like what we got from AJ right now. He showed some real fire, and despite an arguable loss, I guess, in a brawl, I think there's no question that him and CJ are going to remain a hot rivalry going into King of the Ring, and I can't really drop a #1 contender too far down the rankings when you have a title match right around the corner. And talk about title match right around the corner. Coming off a loss, we got to hit one Rowdy time at 18, previously ranked at 17. Flipping, of course, with Shrades going from 18 to 17. These two flip spots, real simple here. Rowdy did lose this week. Shrades had the win. So interesting, too. From what we've gathered some information the last couple days. So Shrades had some issues with travel. Originally, it's like, well, it's Shrades. He probably, he booked Hollywood, California, not Hollywood, Florida. That kind of thing, right? But it turns out that maybe the 12s, the Legion of Boom, the tag champs, Do Not Be Standards, maybe they had something to do with it. They might have, I don't know here. We're working on gathering information, but based on that, the chair attack, the attitude they brought this week, I think we're seeing a different side of the Legion right now. So I'm gonna just see how that plays out next couple weeks. Expecting Shrades versus Do Not this week, and of course, big tag team title match come King of the Ring. We can confirm as well at King of the Ring, whoever loses that tag match will not be challenging again, even if the champs drop. I don't know. It's tough to know. Depends how the match goes, how it turns out. You never know. And talk about not knowing how things turned out. A little glitchy a couple weeks ago, not in action this last week, but we're talking into the King of the Ring portion of our rankings. These guys are all going to rank pretty well. Starting off with Retro Yimmy, nice win over Deekster, of course, out of action last week. Yimmy going from 12 to 16, simply being out of action, and a couple guys being in action, jumping up a little bit there. We're going to clump these next guys together. You'll see why, of course. Stony here at 15, coming up from 11. Stony, of course, winning his King of the Ring qualifier against Casio, who you probably picked up at this point is one of the guys who fell out the rankings. Casio was 25 last week, but between the loss, a little bit out of action, some tough showings, good showings here, there, big spike in rankings. So that's going to be something interesting to keep track of, guys. When we have a big card, the chances are some guys, just from not being there, are going to drop drastically, which can be interesting. Rising, dropping, going here and there, coming from 13 up to 14. We're talking Kapnirk. He is going to rank a little higher than Stoney and Yimmy, just due to the fact, frankly, former multiple-time champion, dominant force, two division champ first, two division champ, of course, holding the cruiserweight and the hardcore titles. Got to have him up there in the lucky or unlucky number 13. Bit of a shocker this week, too, because this man, 0 wins, pinned in all his matchups. We're talking Thy King Khan, girthy daddy-o as big as they get. But first win. Why above Kapnirk? Well, Kapnirk wasn't technically in action this week, only in a managerial role, but Khan just surprised the hell out of me, and I was impressed. But also, Brandon and Pat just watched Dargan getting pinned. Tough scene there. Tough scene. Couple spots from the official top 10, guys, as we move on to number 12. By the way, Khan, previously unranked, as is Swain. Swain, unranked, jumping up right into the top 25 at the 12 spot here, winning his King of the Ring qualifier against Joker. Again, some serious controversy there, but couple wins from a title shot. You gotta give some extra juice to that one. Going from 20 to 11, one spot away from the top 10, former BMI champion and the man who captures the heart in his back hair. We're of course talking the thickest of cheddar daddy-os, King of the Ring qualifier victory. Been looking really good as of late. Even in his losses, he looks great. Again, people forget, half a second from being TSW heavyweight champion on one of our first shows, nearly beating me. So certainly a guy who could easily jump up the rank. Is going from 20 to 11. Thick Ched, certainly a big spot at King of the Ring. We can confirm it will be Thick Ched versus Thy King Khan. So it's going to be the battle of the girthy daddios. It's going to be a really fun matchup. And talk about fun matchups as we get into our top 10 officially. We're talking +1 attributes boost here. Big boost for big time to sweet big time TS. Coming in hot here, gets the +1. Not officially in action, but did win the tag match a couple weeks ago. Laid out Khan and Landmark this week on Thursday Throwdown. Number 1 contender for Landmark's title. And I tell you what, Landmark is in for a fight at King of the Ring. Him versus Big Time is going to be a lot of fun. Again, not sure of the stipulation. Typically, those are last hand standing matches, but I feel like there are some other rivalries that could really use that stipulation a little bit more. So we shall see how that plays out. But Big Time going from 16 to 10. Now we have a couple people staying where they were in the rankings. Remaining in their spot, it's going to be number 1 contender for the TSW Heavyweight Championship, the Clap Daddy. Tag match lost this week, but Chef's got something with Clap. So they'll face off this Thursday, because it's about time they face off. Some food poisoning, some mind games, something behind the scenes, something's going on there, some bad horchata. I'm not certain. But Clap, of course, number 1 contender for the TSW Heavyweight Championship, will be a part of the main event scene come King of the Ring. A couple more guys going to stay right where they were for obvious reasons. We got did not wrestle, no wins, no losses. You're going to stay right where you are. And B Sanders. B Sanders nearly skipped up a spot or two here. Did come off a big singles win against Rowdy, but the way that match went down, the way the setup to the match, I felt like there was some shenanigans afoot. I couldn't bump you up in that situation. And now the top 6 is where things will get very interesting. The top 603, if you will. At number 6, outside of the top 5, previously ranked in the top 5, is going to be Mrs. Houdat, dropping from 5 to 6 here, which means someone jumped up in the rankings as well, guys, into the top 5. But Miss Houdat, a couple tough losses, one should say, the past couple weeks, losing to Mrs. JG, losing to Toxic Tina, in big part to Miss JG, frankly. But we'll be defending the tag team titles this week on Thursday Throwdown alongside Bama. Again, poor Bama, way back at the rankings, despite being half the tag team. It just shows you Bama's had a tough time. That's the former women's champion. She's just back there. It's been a tough showing. It's like there's no in between. It's either winning or just absolutely getting bollocksed out. Anyways, here at number 6, of course, Miss Houdat defending the tag titles this week, defending the women's title at King of the Ring. Is also the Beat Caught Women's Champion. Again, the Beat Caught wrestling stuff we can't super rank here in TSW as it's not really part of our organization. Similar reasons why, you know, a guy like, like a Joe Hendry isn't higher in the rankings despite doing a lot of good stuff elsewhere. But the top 5. And controversy will be abound on this one. At number 5 is gonna be Landmark, the big boss Ham himself. Losing some tag matches recently. Again, not necessarily his fault. Ringside for Khan's win, nice, but then gets laid out by Big Time. Landmark dropping 1 spot from 4 to 5. Landmark, though, every opportunity to shoot right back into possibly the top 3, depending what happens to the other champions at King of the Ring. Landmark just absolutely the cream of the crop here in TSW. The best of the best, truly, for the Big Daddios. But again, just a part of some losing behavior as of late. And plus, I don't like you guys bullying my wrestlers. It's that simple. You're a bully. I can't reward a bully unless you really earn it, in which case, congratulations, sir. But in at number 5 is going to be Landmark, and this is where things get spicy. Dropping from 3 to 4 is going to be LBJ. LBJ, tough week for him. Mid-match, Dijkstra tries to steal the title, getting in LB's head a little bit. Distracted, right on the snout, wrapped right on the snout by Chico, who of course we saw earlier in the rankings. Chico, by the way, will not be challenging at King of the Ring, but will be going for the Cruiserweight Championship likely right after that, whether it be leading up to Halloween Havoc or maybe the Fallout episode of Thursday Throwdown. Maybe we see that happen to me if Dijkstra wins the title back or if LBJ retains here. But LBJ, of course, 2-brand champ, hardcore champion, Cruiserweight champion, first ever unified Cruiserweight champion. Nice win last week, mind you, it was against Patrick Mahomes, but a win is a win. Been looking good recently. Needless to say, LBJ is a stalwart in the division in TSW. As long as he's champion, lock on the top 5, 6, 7, 8 spots, as the top 8 tend to be all the champions anyway. Now, you'll notice based on who moved up and down and all around from number 6 to number 3 and getting a +2. These are all +1s. A +2 attribute boost is going to be CJ Sauce, Hollywood Sauce, the Sauce Boss. Warning, you can kick your ass. You can kick your ass, baby. Of course, CJ taking out Wisebone, taking his spot, beating down AJ, winning the little brawl showdown. Previously ranked 6, up into number 3 here for that +2 at CJ Collision Course at King of the Ring with AJ. Not sure if we'll see CJ in action this week necessarily, but even if he is, I can't imagine we're going to drop too much here. A fantastic debut, has been a great addition. A little dastardly, but who doesn't love a good heel, right? And now the top 2. The top 2, will they flip? Will they stay the same? Because I could definitely argue a flip here of the top 2. I could. Both defended the title successfully, both on winning streaks, but end of the day, I think one title just a little bigger here in TSW. So at number 2, talk about Hollywood, the international sensation sweeping the nation, a +2 boost for Boxy. Just what can you possibly say about Boxy that's already been said? 3-time hardcore champion, first ever 3-time champion, defending the title successfully, more than any other champion. Huge Iron Man win over meme, winning by I believe 3 or 4 falls. He looks great, hair smells incredible, just checking all the boxes. The boxies, if you will, and just really does it all here in TSW. Interesting spot though for Boxy. Of course, he will defend the title every single show, but doesn't have a firm #1 contender at the moment. Typically we have a guy lined up, you know, but we don't have one right now. So Boxy will be defending on Thursday. Who against? I don't know. Is it gonna be a new challenger? Is it gonna be a former champion? We're gonna find out when we get there, but talk about when we got there. We're gonna get there. Number 1, who else but Animal? Another guy, just what else can you say? He was the most dominant universal champion in history, bar none. Dominating that division until AJ took him out, of course, though. You gotta think the congregation played a bit of a role in that one. Coming off a huge 2 out of 3 falls win against Sap Daddy. Will be defending in a couple weeks at King of the Ring in one of the main events, plausibly the main event, against Johnny Collapse, the Clap Daddy. So going from Sap Daddy to Clap Daddy here for Animal, kind of fitting how that worked out. But Animal again, just fantastic. Hell of a wrestler, hell of a fella, great beard. But just has really just shown time and time again why he's one of the best in TSW, no matter the division. And I'm proud to have this man as our heavyweight champion. But for how long? As we are just a couple weeks from King of the Ring, where he will again be defending against Johnny Clap. Certainly a stipulation match will be going down there, but we have it. The Too Sweet 25, baby. Appreciate y'all for coming through. Hope y'all enjoyed another great round of rankings. Got a little wordy there in the early part. We'll condense that a little bit more in upcoming weeks, but we're just excited about TSW right now. And if you're also excited about TSW, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, ding, notification bell activated, all that good stuff. Again, we're posting every Sunday morning, every Friday morning. Maybe we end up putting a midweek sometime, but of course you want to see TSW live Thursday, 1 o'clock Eastern Standard, JG603 over on the purple platform, Twitch TV. But until then, guys, I appreciate you. Y'all been the best. Y'all been too sweet. And of course, code JG603, 20% off Rogue Energy. Whether you're a little tired, you need a little pick-me-up, or maybe even a little wind down with the hydration or relaxation powder mixtures, Rogue Energy has all your needs. Until then, guys, I've been JG603. Y'all the best. Y'all too sweet. Woo! Appreciate you. Bye.